on the app. So this is the emergency button, and you have the emergency contacts given here. So this Ola Guardian is built on artificial intelligence and machine learning capabilities on this Ola app, okay, which actually continuously learns and evolves, okay, using multiple data points every single day to improve risk signaling and to give instant solution, okay, instant support. So these are some of the applications which I wanted to discuss in today's lecture. So with this, I would like to conclude, and I thank you so much once again for giving me this opportunity. Over to you, Bharati madam.
Thank you, ma'am. We are very much thankful to you, ma'am, for accepting our invitation. And also thanks a lot for an incredible, thought-provoking and inspiring lecture on artificial intelligence and its applications, Google prediction, online advertisements, smart replies, reminders, chatbots, Alexa for Amazon Echo devices. Once again, thank you, ma'am.
Thank you so much, ma'am.
Now it's time for the second session by Sri T. Anjireddy Garu. Sri Anjireddy Tangirala is a solution architect at Miracle Software Systems, Novi headquarters, USA, where he predominantly works on robotic process automation, machine learning, and artificial intelligence areas. He graduated from Andhra Loyola College with master's degree in computer applications. After graduation, he worked as a lecturer in Kevin PC College as a software engineer in Sintel, Chennai, before moving to the USA in 2014. So now I request Sri Anjireddy Garu to take over the session.
Oh, thank you, ma'am. So this is Anjireddy. Actually, I've been working with Miracle Software Systems for the past 3 years. My work areas are basically on the robotic process automation and then machine learning. So I thank Krishna University and Kebin College for giving me this opportunity of sharing my experiences and then whatever work I do here in Miracle Software and then how I serve my customers in the area of robotic process automation. So most of the, like in the previous session, the madam has given like most of the idea on how artificial intelligence and then machine learning works. And today I'm going to give an application of artificial intelligence and machine learning that is called robotic process automation. So when you see AI as a bigger picture, so machine learning comes into it's a big umbrella. Inside that we have machine learning, and inside that we have something called robotic process automation that actually uses machine learning and also artificial intelligence and also something called natural language processing. That way it actually serves the business in automating several processes that they have been doing manually day in and day out. So let me share my screen. So when it comes to the automation, whatever the manual process that anybody is doing, if you want to like let the machine do the same thing, that is called automation. For example, consider yourself as a banking employee. You actually go to the office at 9 o'clock, and then every morning you actually log onto a system, and in that system you actually extract the loans that are outstanding for that particular day, or maybe credit cards that needs to be issued on that particular day. What you do is you log onto the system, and then you get that report and then present it to your higher authority, maybe your manager or somebody else. So what if you are not in the office on a particular day? So maybe during COVID, you are not able to come to the office, and then that particular task is only known to you, and there is nobody else who can do that. In those situations, in order for us to not to depend on a human person, and then since he is doing the same task day in and day out, that means you go to the office at 9 o'clock and then you do the same thing day in and day out. That means your process is whatever the task you are doing is prone to automation. So those kind of tasks, that is what people are automating in the recent days. So due to the like in the yesterday's in last year's COVID, because of so many processes done by the people are stopped, that is where the automation has picked up. So in order for an automation to succeed, the only thing required is the process has to be uh, done by the human every day and in the same set of rules. So when it comes to the like I will briefly explain about the cognitive process automation. In the cognitive process automation, there are two types of automations. One is robotic process automation that you see on the left side, and the second one is the conversational chatbots. So when you say conversational chatbots, Madam has currently explained as regarding Amazon Alexa's and then IBM Watson and then Microsoft Lewis framework, all of those things. So when you say conversational chatbots, there are two things that we can imagine. The first thing is when you talk to a Vodafone executive or Vodafone call center or some other banking call center, what they ask you is to press on some buttons. If it is for credit cards, press 1, for debit cards, press 2, all of those things. That is called IVR, interactive voice response. That is one form of the conversation chatbots. When you say conversation, the conversation can be either in the form of the text or in the form of the voice. That means when you talk to the, so in the IVR, there are some IVRs where you actually don't press the buttons. You actually say either yes or no. The bot will ask you for what you are calling for. So if you say, I'm looking for a new credit card application, or I want to see where my bank, where my loan application is. All of those things the bot understands. So what is how the bot understands is when you talk, it actually takes your voice, it converts that into a text, and then inside that we'll be having something called natural language processor. There are various natural language processors that are in the market by various vendors. So Amazon Alexa is one. From IBM, we have something called Watson. From Microsoft, we have something called Lewis, and there are some other NLP processors. What they do is they actually convert the voice into text, and then that text they actually split that into utterances. From the utterances, it'll understand the context. The context means here, for example, if you have called for a new credit card application, new credit card application is your context. And then if you are actually checking for your loan status, the loan status is about context. So that is how your actually voice is converted into a context, and then later it is understood by the machines in the behind the scenes, and then it gets the response from the machines, and it actually converts the text again into the voice, and it speaks to you. So that is how the conversation chatbot works. And on the left side, we have something called robotic process automation. This is nothing to do with conversations. It actually does whatever the task you do on a daily basis on the computer, that is being automated. So like I said in the previous example, so you go to the office early in the morning and then you send a report to your manager. So now if you automate that, these automation tools like Automation Anywhere, UiPath, Blue Prism and Pega, all these automation tools are capable of doing all those things that you're doing on a daily basis. They are actually capable of logging into a virtual machine. They don't need a human person. So they can actually log onto a virtual machine. They can actually launch the any application, maybe a email application or a SAP application or any other ServiceNow application. They're capable of launching those applications. Basing on the search criteria, they can extract the data. They can actually compile a report, and that report they can actually email it by themselves. You don't need any human to email, any human to extract that. So that is whatever the process that is rule based. When I say rule based, there is a rule like you need to open an application. That is a rule. And next thing is you need to extract the data based on a search criteria. That is another rule. And there can be another rule saying whatever the data that is extracted, you need to filter the data. And then fourth rule maybe send it to your manager, maybe manager email ID. So all of these rules, if these rules are done by you on a daily basis, that means those can be automated using all these robotic process automation tools. So if you see here, we have 4 or 5 different robotic process automation tools. All of those are capable of doing automating these rule-based tasks.
Sir, screen is not.
Can you see the screen?
Now it's visible, sir.
It's
But
visible.
not.
Okay. So to give an introduction of the RPA, it is actually a software robot. So the robots are two types. So a physical robot that you see in the assembly section, or something like in car assemblies, and also in the mechanical areas, and also in hospitals and all where they perform the surgeries. All of those are physical robots. When it comes to the software robots, they actually work on the computer. So we actually write a program that actually mimics your actions. For example, I was telling, if you want to send an email to a particular person, what you do is you actually click on a browser. Next thing is you actually give the address in the address bar, right? Gmail.com or Yahoo.com. So that is the second set. That is the second action that you do, and then after that you give your username and password. Third action. So all of these actions are, being a human, we are doing to send an email. So robotic process automation softwares, they actually exactly mimic whatever you're doing. So if you're clicking somewhere, there's a click action that the software can perform. If you're typing on something in a field, maybe username and password field, it is capable of performing that action, like going to that particular field and then giving the data, username and password. It is capable of doing all of those things. So basically RPA is mimicking human actions. That way, if a person is doing some actions on a daily basis, it actually mimics the same thing. We actually write a code to mimic the same actions. That way we can replace the human with the automated bot. Any questions till now?
If anyone having doubts, please raise your hand. Sir, you can continue. Yes, sir, you can continue.
So for example, in the real world, if a minute of the, if a work is done by the human in 15 minutes, the same work can be done by the robot within 5 minutes. So that means it's about 1/3 of the work is being saved, 1/3 of the work hours is being saved. And also, if we replace a human with the automation bot, that means we don't need to pay to the human if he is doing the same task on a daily basis, and if that can be automated. So the large businesses like banks and then insurance companies, and then some other organizations, they're actually looking into the areas wherever they can replace a person. For example, one real example I can give is if you want a new credit card application. Previously, what you would do is you actually call to a customer care executive. They actually ask several details like your date of birth, and then your address, your credit card, your SSN number, and all of those things, the employment details. Now, all of these things are asked by the robot in the form of conversational chatbot, where during the IVR, it asks for all your address, SSN number, everything. and behind the scenes, there is an RPA that works. It actually logs onto various systems like SAPs and then legacy mainframe applications, and then it gets the data related to you. For example, if you're looking for a new credit card application or new credit card, in order to check if you already have a credit card, what is your credit history, it has to log on to several applications. So robotic process automation software, it actually logs on by itself using your data, gets the data, and then it actually, based on the rules, it by itself, it decides whether you are eligible for a new credit card or you are not. So for a human to do the same thing, we need to have that person on call with the customer. He has to spend 15 or 20 minutes on the call, and then they will say, we will decide on the application maybe tomorrow or day after. It is like 15 minutes of customer time, and then later in the back office, they will work on the application. Maybe it takes a couple of days. Now, with the introduction of RPA, with the introduction of conversational chatbots, and then conversational chatbots, the time is reduced to maybe 10 minutes for application, taking the application, and then behind the scenes, we don't need a human to most of the times. For 80% of the times, we don't need to have a human to process their credit card application. So we can replace 100 humans workforce with one or two robots, and then we can keep only 10 persons, where when the robot is not able to handle that situation, it can actually route it to the human. That way, human will be taking the decision, and then whatever robot could work, it will work. So that is how the work culture has been changing here across the globe. So now I will explain about what can be automated with RPA. For example, a document capture and data entry. For example, you are actually a real-time example I'll give. So if you have an insurance, and then if you are claiming for an insurance, or you met with an accident, and then you are claiming the insurance. In order to do that, previously there used to be a human agent who will actually, like when the customer fills an application claim form, they used to take the application and then look through the data and then see if the customer is eligible for the claim. So there are some, like if the customer has met with an accident, he is eligible for 3 lakh rupees, or if he is died, he is eligible for 5 lakh rupees or something. So that eligibility criteria, somebody has to manually check. Now, what is happening is the claim form, the customer fills it online, and then that data actually in the backend, that is, if that is filled by the customer, that will be converted into a PDF. And then those PDF data, RPA software using OCR technology, it actually gets the data, extracts the data, and it goes to the databases by itself, and then it gets the the insurance policy data, saying what is the customer's eligibility based on the type of accident, and then based on the type of incident. It actually goes and gets the eligibility, and then using various rules, it actually decides if the customer is eligible for the claim, or if he is not eligible for the claim. That also done automatically. So for the those kind of systems are eligible for automation. There are some other systems like general ledger coding, and then payment systems. Like I said, the claim payment, it can be, the checks can be automatically issued by the robots. We don't need a human to actually type in something or issue a checks. And then the document review and approvals. Again, in the claims processing, I was telling, if the whatever the customer has submitted, they will be validating, the robot will be validating if whatever the social security number entered by the customer is right, or if he is eligible for a claim amount, or his address is right, or whatever claim he is trying to apply for is right. So all of those document review tasks are being done by the robotic process softwares, that is the bots, the software bots. And then the next one is process management and controls. For example, if in your organization you have 100 servers and then you want to see any server is down intermittently, so we, like, in order to do that, we need to have a human or multiple humans, maybe 10 people or 20 people, constantly checking or pinging that servers. So now with the introduction of robotic process automation, we don't need to have all those 10 members. We can actually write a automatic software, RPA software, that actually intermittently every half an hour it pings all the 100 machines. If some machine is not getting the response, it actually gets that error report and then gives it to somebody, the network executive. That way they'll take an action. So now with a literally a real-time example where we have replaced 10 people with one robot, that is process management and process process management and controlling. And then next thing is exception processing, and some other areas we can actually use RPA. The RPA software is able to do all of these things, like it can automate communications. The third point that I am explaining, the automate communication means, like I was telling in the previous example, it actually pings all the servers by itself. If there is a server that is down, that is not accessible, it can actually compose the message, the error message, into an email. It can send it to somebody. It can send it to the authorized person or the stakeholder so that they can take an action. So that communication is being automated using RPA. And then there is another way of, this is outgoing emails, and the incoming emails, there could be some maybe I was talking about the claims processing. So the customer may send his data in an email format where the RPA software can read the email. It can actually read what is the data present in the attachment. It can open the attachment by itself and then read through the PDF using their OCR technology or regular expression technology or whatever. So using all of those, it can automate the communications. And next thing is it can provide the reminders. For example, if I'll go to the previous example of monitoring the servers. If the server is not reachable, then there is no action taken by somebody even after half an hour. So it actually checks if the status is same since half an hour. Then it can actually send the reminders. When you mean sending the reminders, it can actually send the SMS messages. It can actually call the person using some third-party APIs. We have something called Twilio, that is artificial intelligence company. So they actually provide the means of sending the text messages or sending calling calling the stakeholders. We have actually built an app where we actually monitor some of the ERP systems like SAP and then PeopleSoft, Workday, all of these three ERP systems. What the bot does is it actually every half an hour it logs onto all these three different ERP systems. If any one of that is down, there is a stakeholder who needs to take care of that downtime. It actually we actually have the phone number and then email ID regarding, like, related to the particular person. So what the bot does is as soon as it sees the server is down or application is down, it calls to the person, it texts to the person. So that is what is providing reminders. And then the RPA software is capable of doing the data entry. So if you are being a human, if you are actually going through or extracting data from a PDF or looking into the PDF and then typing the data in an application, RPA software is very easily can do the same thing. So all it needs is it needs an Adobe Reader and the PDF, That way we actually train the robot to look for the data in a particular place. That way, once you train, from the next time, it actually goes to the exact position and then gets the data, enters the data into whatever the application that we like. And the next thing is ask for an expert input for review or approval. So I was telling in the previous example, the claims processing. If the robot is not able to do the claim processing, it can actually route it to the human. So that means it can actually send an email to the human or manager. After his review and approval, the same email response it actually takes, and based on the approval, it can actually go ahead and then um, uh, process the claim. So this is called attended bot. So unattended means there are two types of RPA bots, attended and unattended. Attended means um, uh, it actually stops after performing some actions. For example, it is processing, it is issuing checks, automatically issuing checks, or automatically crediting money into the person's accounts. It has seen one account, one particular transaction where they are actually crediting $1 million, which is high in most of the cases. In those cases, it actually can route that to a human for an approval. As soon as he approves, it can actually come back and then perform the remaining action. That is called attended. If it is unattended, that means it doesn't talk to any human. It does its task. When there is an exception, it actually sends an email to the stakeholder. It doesn't wait for the person to respond. So that is unattended bot. So all these things the robot can do. So it can actually communicate to the users. It can actually perform the data entries. It can actually collect the data from various applications, compile a report in an Excel format or some other format, and then send it to the stakeholder. And then if it is an attended bot, it can actually ask the human for approval or something, and then once it is approved, it can actually come back and then perform the remaining actions. All of these things the robotic assistants or robotic process automation softwares can do. Any questions till now? Okay. When you say automated data entry, maybe, for example, maybe the customer is using a SAP system or PeopleSoft system or some other system as their enterprise ERP application. So in order for them to so not all the invoices are electronically generated. When I say electronically generated, that means some customers may send the invoices in an email format. Some customers may send the invoices in a paper format. That means they actually mail. That means they send the invoices in the post, or whatever the invoices that are sent in the post, we need to scan, and then somebody sitting on the system, they have to go through that, copy or see whatever is there, and then type into SAP or other ERP systems. Now, with the automated data entry, as soon as it is scanned, after the scanning part is only taken care by the human. Once it is scanned, we'll automate the entire system, where the automated data will go to an email, and then the RPA software, it actually reads the emails, open the PDF, gets the data, and then enters into actually SAP system or some other ERP system. So the automated data entry is taken care or happens in all of these areas, like invoice processing, and then purchase requests, and then purchase orders, documents and email, and then double entry. All of these areas we can automate the data entry. You can start the RPA in several areas, like I was talking. In the customer service is the first area where most of the automation is happening. That means for a credit card to approve, we don't need to have a customer care representative, or for an insurance claim to happen, we don't need a customer care executive. All of these persons are being replaced by RPA bots and then chatbots with a combination of RPA and chatbots. That way, we don't need to have a human sitting in a call center, receiving calls, getting the data, and then telling whether our credit card application is processed, or our loan is processed, or our vehicle loan is approved, or our insurance claim is processed, or in a hospital whether a patient billing is already done, insurance claim is already done. All of these things, we don't need to have a customer care representative. We can have a IVR, interactive voice response bot, or a conversational chat bot. It actually speaks to the people, and then only if it is required. That means if that is not able to done by the human, not able to done by the bot, that is when it actually routes, the bot itself routes it to the human. There will be a reduced workforce. Rather than having 1,000 customer care representatives, we will be having only 100. So 900 will be replaced by the bots. These 100 people will be taken care. They will be taking care the requests that are not handled, that cannot be handled by the humans. Sorry, robots. So when you say robots is not handling, what happens is whatever the requests that are coming to the customer care representative, they will actually analyze those requests and then try to backfeed or improve their RPA software or conversation chatbot software. That way, we are even reducing those remaining 100 people into 10 or 20, and automating most of the part. That is what is happening mostly in the US. So previously, when I used to call to a banking customer care, there used to be humans who will be picking the call and then answering all our queries. Now it is the first, when I dial the customer care, the first person or the first one to receive the call is a robot. It actually speaks as if it is a human. In most of the times, we can't identify the difference between a human and the robot, because the voice is exactly similar, almost like similar, and then it actually acts as if it is typing. There would be keyboard clicks and then mouse clicks just to mimic the human environment. There would be, you can actually listen to, you can actually hear that keyboard and mouse clicks. That way we are under assumption that we are talking to a real human, but it is a robot who is actually talking to us. It actually understands, it actually speaks as if it is a human in clear English, and it understands when we say something, when we ask some question, it clearly understands and then talks to us as if it is a human. So that is what the revolution is happening in the customer care service because of this automation of with NLPs, conversational chatbots, and then RPS. Next area is operations and then human resources. So in the human resources area also, the HR area also, we have been seeing even to recruit the, even to filter the candidates' resumes. Previously, there used to be humans sitting and then vetting all those resumes. Now we have RPAs and then machine learning came into picture. They are actually analyzing the people's resumes. They will be picking the right resume and giving it to the human user. And then even in the purchasing and then operations, we have been seeing lot of introduction of the RPAs and then chatbots and other bots. This is one of the example how actually when a human is replaced with the robot, what is the cost savings in a accounting area. So when you see here, accounting or entire the accounting for an organization is automated. Before that, for each and every process, it used to cost them $22 uh, uh, for a simple accounting process, and then it used to take 16 days to complete the process. So with the introduction of the automation, the $22 cost is reduced to $5, and then the time also reduced to 6 days instead of 16 days. That means we are saving time and then cost, and then we are able to actually give more discounts to the customers. This is one of the very good example where an automation like kind of RPA or a chatbot, when you're introduced to a business model or business process, it is actually reducing the cost and then it is actually benefiting the customers. So being a skilled people, so going forward, like the way we work is completely changing. Previously, we used to work with humans. Now, humans, and then we used to depend on some person to do the task. Now it is not the case. Most of the things that are done by the humans are being replaced by the bots. That way, if the task has to be completed, this is called compliance and securities. So when I say compliance, if a task has to be completed on by afternoon, so if there is a human, he may have so many dependencies. He may fall sick, or he may actually be on leave, or he may not be working for 4 or 5 days, or he may not be doing it efficiently. So if we replace the human with robot, that means robot doesn't get sick, robot doesn't get tired, and then robot does whatever we ask them to do. For example, if we are asking a robot uh, to actually uh, uh, report a transaction that is over $1 million, robot is exactly does that. So it doesn't cheat, or it doesn't actually, there is a transparency in what the robot does. It actually does whatever we ask it to do on time, without falling sick, 365 days in a year. So that is why when these kinds of processes, if they can be automated, organizations are doing an automation and then saving the cost. The first thing is saving the cost, and then they have improved compliance, and the third thing is security. So robots, they doesn't steal the data. Maybe if you have a human person there, he can actually steal your credit card data, or he can steal your social security number, or he can do some manipulation, but robot doesn't do that. So that is where in all those areas, for improved compliance, improved security, improved process efficiency, to do all these factors, considering all these factors, most of the processes are which are rule based are being replaced by robots. I'll skip this slide. So when I see the robot development life cycle, it starts with the process selection. When I say process selection, I have been telling, if a process is done by the human in the same manner on a daily basis every day, that is the process that we need to that can be automated. And while selecting the process, we need to consider several factors, like if you automate that particular process, what is the return we are getting. So if that task is done by 10%, 7 days a week, 8 hours every day, similar kind of process, if that can be done by a robot, the human 7-day work, if a robot can do that in a day, then there's a lot of return on investment. That means a 7 people's pay is saved, and then since the robot is working, their pay is a profit for the organization. That is where they actually say return on investment is the first factor where for any RPA process selection, and then process documentation, solution design, bot development, unit testing, workflow testing, and then bot deployment, UAT, and then schedule and maintenance. All of these are similar to your any software development, but uh, like the workflow testing and then automation, UAT, process selection, return on investment are something which are on like which are specially you will see in the RPA and automation area. So when the return on investment is high, that is the process they target for the automation because they can save more. And then and the not the ROI. So besides ROI, if a process is having very sensitive data, that is when actually they start automating those processes. Like I was telling, if a person is handling only credit card data, we actually replace that person with a robot. That way, we don't expose customers' credit card data or sensitive data to any humans. If a person is dealing with only social security numbers or Aadhaar card numbers or something, we actually replace that person with a robot, that process with a robot. That way, the security is maintained there. So that is how the processes are selected and then automated. These are all best practices and benefits of RPA is uh, most of the process in the current days of work, whatever is happening in either an insurance company or a healthcare company or banking, almost like 60% of the work can be automated. Organizations have already started about 3 or 4 years ago to automate most of the things. Now, by 2025, most of their process will be automated, and then you see a significant change in the way we work. We work with the robots. We talk to the robots. We actually get the work done by the robots. Either it is RPA robotic process bots or machine learning based bots, AI based bots, or conversational chat bots. Most of the workforce will be replaced by automation, and whoever is skilled, they will actually keep their job. Whoever is not skilled, they needs to be upskilled and then repositioned into a different area, and then start working with the robots, working with the software robots, especially in the process areas. And then they need to whoever is doing the same task, like illogical task, that I would say. Illogical means there is no special logic that they apply. They do the same task every day. They only have 4 or 5 rules or 10 rules, like log on to the browser, log on to the SAP, log on to other application, use the criteria, get the data and give it to your manager, or do some a minimal data validation and then create reports. All of these will be definitely automated. It is happening. It is actually I am seeing, and being an architect, I'm actually solutionizing all of these systems. In my 3 years of automation career, I have implemented almost like 200 bots, where for each bot there are like 4 to 5 people are replaced. So now you can see how um, uh, the scale of automation and then the scale of people needed for upskill. I would say I don't say people losing jobs. The need of people to upskill. If you don't have any skill, um, like besides that routine work, that is the time you need to upskill. And then if you're upskilling, you will actually stay ahead, and then stay ahead with the all these automation changes. The disadvantages of RPA is like it is limited to speed of application. All of these are kind of little irrelevant to you. These are all actually covered in the previous session, and then machine learning is also covered in the previous session. I would like to give one simple example for machine learning, how the machine learns. We have been implementing a small automation using machine learning. Um, actually what the machine learning model we are creating is, it has to extract the data from unstructured PDFs. So here is a PDF where the customer is asked us to extract this data of this data on the left side and then the totals on the right side. When you see here, the column name is something called total, and then when you see here also total. There are some other PDFs where the data is not this, here the column is not in the total. It is maybe YTD, year to date total, or accumulated totals, or something like that. Here the columns are little different, and then in some PDFs we would have only 2 rows rather than having the 12 rows. What the machine learning model does is, actually we have trained the model in such a way that it extracts the text and then the total amount, just the total amount. So we have trained almost like 30 to 40 different PDFs. After that, the machine learning model tries to understand it. It actually understood what we are trying to extract from the PDFs. So always it actually gave the exact result of it actually extracted only the text on the left side and then totals on the right side. So that is how, as like machine learning, it actually learns by the input that you give. So that is called supervised learning. So when we do the supervised learning and then train the model, after that there is something called unsupervised learning. It learns by itself and then tries to get the data or extract the data. This is one of the business application where RPA with a combination of machine learning is being done in the RPA area, especially in Miracle. So with this, I'll end the session. Before I end the session, I request you, if you have any questions, you can actually talk to me or raise all your questions, whatever you have. And from what I see is, especially there is a lot of attrition in RPA resources. Recently, we are finding very difficult to get right people. That means there is a lot of demand in the market for especially RPA and automation, because with the COVID, there are so many people who actually lost their lives, and then there are so many people who fell sick. Organizations started to realize not to depend on a person to perform any critical task. That is where whatever is being done, which is business critical, they want to automate that. That way, actually, they won't have to rely on a person. They can continue their business. That is called business continuity. RPA is actually contributing to business continuity, no matter whether it doesn't depend on the persons. Basically, no matter what the situation is, their business will be continuing. They don't want to stop, or they don't want to hold on for a person or for any reason. That is where with COVID, we thought the IT and then the information technology people will lose their jobs, but it was the other. It happened the other way. So many people lost their jobs in the other areas like service industry, and then restaurants, and then movie theaters, or some other unskilled. But when it comes to the IT, there were so many jobs created, especially in automation area and artificial intelligence. There are so many jobs created, and there's a lot of demand in the market for machine learning experts, RPA analysts, RPA developers, and then data engineers and artificial intelligence engineers. So with this, I actually conclude my session.
Please raise your hand if you have any queries. Please pose your queries to the resource person. If you have any queries, please raise your hand so that I will allow you.
Yeah, I'm having some 2 to 3 queries.
Yeah, sir. Yeah.
So first query is regarding the checks processing. No? So how can a RPA bot will process the check? There may be some limitations of image processing. Is it capable of doing that one? That is the first query. And second query is regarding ownership. Who will be the owner of this RPA? Either the company which is purchasing or the company who is maintaining. Second and third query is regarding the limitations of human employment. How can we overcome the limitations of human employment?
Okay, I'll answer the first question. So when it comes to this checks processing, there are several OCRs in the market that are capable of reading the handwriting up to some extent. So what it does is we have something called ABI OCR, and then in the every RPA tool it has inbuilt OCRs. It actually can read the scanned images and then scanned checks. It actually can extract the data like the check number, account number, and routing number, whom we are paying for, or who the check has, from whom the check has come from. So all of those details it can actually extract, and then it can actually send that extracted data to backend processing systems. That way the entire check is processed. When we see here, there's all of the banking applications, mobile applications, they have a facility of scanning the checks from the mobile app. As soon as you scan the check, actually next immediate day the check will be processed, and then you'll have the amount credited to your account. So those kind of softwares with RPA and then OCR engines like ABI, with these two combinations, and Tesseract OCRs and then Modi OCR from Microsoft, and then some other OCRs, the checks processing is feasible. And then when it comes to the second question, regarding your who is the owner of the RPA, it depends on the business model. So some people, some organizations, they want to maintain entire RPA by themselves. In some organizations, they actually give it to the implementation partners like Cognizant, TCS, or Miracle, whoever has implemented the entire RPA. It depends. And some organizations actually, the RPA software, they actually can have it on their premise. Some have everything on cloud, so they can go for Azure cloud or AWS cloud, or Oracle cloud, for that matter. And what was your third question?
Third question is regarding the human job scarcity. How can we avoid that one? There will be a problem.
Yeah, job scarcity, that is something is challenging. Human job scarcity means whoever is like whoever have their process automated, they need to upskill themselves, learn new things, maybe go to a different area so that they can contribute to the organization and then keep their job. That is one thing. And then when it comes to the scarcity, so we from Miracle, we are actually taking people and then training them in RPA. That way we actually don't have the scarcity of RPA resources.
One more last question. How can this bot spam attacks can be handled by this bot itself?
Spam attacks?
On the other side, there is another bot who is trying to ask some questions regarding an account creation or anything. Then how can the identification of that is either human or a RPA?
It can be done by the conversational chatbot itself, because when we basically being a person, I cannot ask for somebody else's account data, right? So in order for me to get my account data, there are some authentications that people do. When the bot actually starts, when they start conversating with the bot, they actually send a one-time message to their actually mobile numbers. That way they will eliminate all the spam people. First thing. Second thing is they ask various security questions, and third thing is they may ask their social security number, which is very confidential. In the US, nobody asks others social security number. Nobody reveals that. And then date of birth. With a combination of security questions and then personal data, we can eliminate spam talking to the robots.
Okay, sir. Thank you very much for your good presentation. Sir.
Thank you.
Still anyone having doubts? So thank you, sir. I want to extend my generous thanks to the research person, Sri T. Anjireddy Garu, because there its time is early morning, 3 o'clock, I think. Really enlightened with your knowledge, sir.
Thank you, ma'am. Thanks for giving this opportunity.
Thank you so much, sir. Dear participants, please fill the feedback link, which is in the chat box. Now it's time to present a formal vote of thanks. I deem it an honor and privilege to propose the vote of thanks on this occasion. First and foremost, I would like to thank our chief guest, K.B. Chandrasekhar Garu, Vice Chancellor, Krishna University, who despite his busy schedule has found time to grace this occasion. And I also express my thanks to Professor Y.K. Sundar Krishna Garu, Registrar, Krishna University and able administrator, for his valuable contribution. We are grateful to Professor D. Surachandra Rao Garu, Principal, University College of Arts and